Welcome, everyone, to the Mormon Lit Lab Podcast. I'm Annaliese, your host for this series where we discuss the 14th annual Mormon Lit Blitz. Today, I'm joined by Michelle Graabek-Wallace, author of Lifecycle of Strawberries. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi.
Could you introduce yourself and explain what your experience is with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
Yeah, so as you said, my name's Michelle Graabek-Wallace. I grew up in the church in Europe. I'm originally from Denmark, but I've also lived in England, Ireland, and Italy. In my day job, I'm a historian, but I've always loved creative writing. As a historian, one of the periods I'm fascinated with is the 19th century and the Danish Latter-day Saint immigrants that joined the church in Denmark and then emigrated to Utah, especially because a lot of them were writers and poets. And I love this idea of a tradition of Danish Latter-day Saint literature, and try to create my own part of that tradition and experience of what it means to be a Danish Latter-day Saint.
That's beautiful. I love that. And I felt like this essay had a beautiful description of your childhood. And so how long did it take you to believe that your mother in that reading Bill's character?
So I don't think I ever disbelieved her. If anything, I think I did believe her because it stuck with me. But that doesn't mean that I necessarily wanted to do it. There are many things that we know we should do, but we don't necessarily want to do them, even though we know that they make us healthier, wiser, better people. And I think a big part of building character is learning to do it anyway, because we know it's worth it.
Yeah. In the essay, you compare Christ to straw that lifts the heads and hands that hang down. And just curious, when has he done that for you?
So he's done that many times for me throughout my life, and I hope that that's a thing that resonates with many people. It's something where, as a writer, I feel like there's usually always something in your writing that surprises you, and I feel like this is one of the parts in this piece of writing that actually somewhat surprised me. To me, obviously, I was reflecting on my memory of the strawberry patch that we had and the work that went into it, and the memory of tucking the straw under the strawberries was particularly vivid to me. So that's something that I knew that I wanted to include it. And so this phrase came to my mind, like, can I compare Christ to straw? And that in the piece, I then compare it to, he leaves the hard work of the growth to me, but he's lifting the hands and the heads that hang down. And there are many moments that he's done that with me. One particular moment is a couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with a genetic heart condition. I just moved to Italy to study, and I felt very far from home, very alone, didn't speak the language. But I had a fantastic ward family that really supported me, gave me blessings, made sure I always had someone to turn to. And it was definitely a period where I felt lifted by God and by my church community.
That's very nice. Were there any other parts that surprised you in writing this?
That's a good question. I think I very much came from the perspective of this was kind of like a scene from my childhood that was very memorable to me, and that I definitely had this memory of my mum saying, God put Adam in a garden. And that was kind of like the foundation of the piece, that I knew I had this, and I wanted to relate it to what are some of the spiritual things we can learn from that. And so for me, it is an exploration of, what are some of the spiritual things I can learn from this core childhood memory.
Mm-hmm. And have you continued gardening since childhood?
I try to. I have yet to live somewhere where I own my own garden, so it's mostly like windowsill pots. I don't have a particularly green thumb. My mother does. My mum has always had beautiful, lush gardens. I try, and I think the key thing is I keep trying.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I keep trying and not succeeding, even though I do have places with garden areas. I need to have plants that survive through benign neglect because I have such a black thumb.
Yeah, I've tried to research, hardy plants, plants that survive anything with some sort of success.
Mm-hmm. I did get a patch of strawberries growing when we lived in Washington, but here in Arizona, I'm not so sure they're going to survive the summer. I do have a strawberry there, but it's quite brown right now.
I moved to Utah with my husband last year, and I've been trying to grow strawberries with no success at all. It's definitely very different to grow things in Utah compared to Denmark and England, where there's a lot more rain.
Mm-hmm. I bet. Do you have a piece of media, any format, any genre that you would recommend for our audience?
So one of my favorite pieces is Song of Names, which is edited by James Goldberg and Addis Paschal. It's a collection of poetry inspired by historical Latter-day Saints. So as a historian, I love the historical aspect of it, but they're also just beautiful poems, which explore what it means to be a Latter-day Saint across time and space and the various struggles and beauty that comes along with that.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. And do you have any other projects or places to find you online that you'd like to tell our audience about?
Not really writing projects. As I said, in my day job, I'm a historian. One of the projects I work on is I'm currently the chair of the Global Mormon Studies Research Network. That takes up a lot of my time. It's an organization that supports scholars doing research in global Mormon studies, especially scholars outside the US and emerging scholars. And if you're interested, you can learn more at globalmormonstudies.org.
Very nice. Do you have anything else that you'd like to share about this story or your experience in the Mormon Lit Blitz?
I've loved being part of the Mormon Lit Blitz. As I said, my day job is not as an author, but it's something that I've always loved. And so I had a friend that encouraged me to participate. And it's just been a really wonderful way to explore what it is to be a Latter-day Saint through writing. That's something that I really enjoy doing every year.
Oh, good. And thank you so much for joining us. We had a nice conversation, and I hope we'll see you again.
Sounds good.
For more information about the Mormon Lit Blitz, visit mormonlitlab.org. If you would like to support the Mormon Lit Lab in producing Mormon literature through contests, workshops, and publications, look for their PayPal or visit patreon.com/Mormon Lit Lab.